Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please join us today. We will be sharing in the seventh part of the glories of Sri Darmodarashtakam. We will be sharing the glories of Damodar Leela. And today happens to be the last day in the Western world of Kartik Mas, as well as it is the last day of Bhishma Panchak. Today happens to be Shaligram Tulsi Vivaha and Shri Krishna Rasa Yatra. So there are multiple occasions, very potent days. So please immerse yourself in Lord's Prem Bhakti and the chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please join us for Guru Pranati. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshitarine Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatanaham Vande Shri Gurum Deenataranam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please join us for Hari Nam.
Okay.
Thank you. Krishna Krishna Yes, today we'll be covering verses 7 and 8. These are the last two verses of Sri Darmodarashtakam, and at the end, in 30 minutes, we will also be singing complete Darmodarashtakam, and then also reading the translation in English. Hare Kṛṣṇa. So please join us in this wonderful session where we are glorifying Sri Darmodarashtakam. Today happens to be the last day of Kartik Mass, Damodar month, and it is very auspicious to sing Sri Darmodarashtakam every morning and every evening of this month and light a lamp, because bhakti is on sale. So we all are seeking that prema bhakti to serve Lord Kṛṣṇa for his satisfaction, following in the footsteps of Acharyas and showing our gratefulness to Srila Prabhupada and the Acharyas. We want to engage in devotional service and receive the mercy, and the mercy of the Lordship flows through His devotees, and that has been exemplified again and again, and especially in today's session. That is the main aspect, subject matter that we'll be discussing. So the verses, 7th verses, Kuberatmaja Badha Murtevayadva Tvaya Mochito Bhakti Bhajo Krito Cha Tata Prema Bhaktim Sa Kame Prayacha Na Mokshe Grahomesti Damodareha. Sage Satavrata, he is singing after having asked the boons, after begging to the Lordship, by glorifying him with various names, remembering the Damodar Leela. He is now moving away from the Nitya Leela, Ashtakali Nitya Leela, to Naimittika, an occasional pastime that happened on this Bhauma Vrindavan, where he is saying that, my dear Lord, just like you delivered the twin Arjun trees, the two Kamala Arjun trees, which were situated in the courtyard of Nand Baba in Gokula. So this is where in Gokul they were situated, and you delivered these two trees, and these were none other than the two sons of Kuvera, Nalakuvara and Manigriva. So just like you delivered them, and then not just delivered them, you also bestow to them the prema bhakti, the loving devotional service. So that devotional service which is devoid of the tinge of awe and reverence, that devotional service where they are able to constantly be engaged in loving devotional service, lovingly serving you for your satisfaction. And so you delivered them. So this particular pastime has been referred. So we heard in Damodar Leela as how Mother Yashoda binds Lord Kṛṣṇa, and the 2-finger shot that was covered later on by Lord's mercy and her endeavor. So those were the two widths of 2 fingers. It's our endeavor. So she's in this particular pastime we are learning, Sage Satavrata is sharing, that it is by the love of the devotee the Lord is conquered over, and it is by the love of Mother Yashoda. Now Acharyas also explained, because the very first verse says that Lord was running away, yet Mother Yashoda, she caught him because she ran faster than him. So it is always also interesting that Acharyas also revealed to us that when we take one step towards Kṛṣṇa, he takes 10 steps towards us, right? So, and our steps are puny steps, a meter long, maybe a couple of feet, even if we take big steps. But Lord's steps, in the first step, as we see in Vaman Dev Leela, when he expanded into Trivikrama form, in the first step he covered whole of earth. The second step he he penetrated the end of the universe. So his steps are, gigantic, and his expressions are magnanimous. So again, he is inconceivable. Lord Kṛṣṇa is inconceivable. So even though to our eyes it appeared that Mother Yashoda is running after him and that he is running away from Mother Yashoda in fear, in reality, spiritually, she is getting closer and closer because of her pure love. she is really feeling that Kṛṣṇa, Kanha is my Lalla, my son. And if I don't take care of him, if I don't protect him, if I don't correct him, then he would lead, he would be in difficult situations in the future. So as parents, we care for our children, and sometimes we, refrain our children from, we stop them from eating too much sweets, sometimes having too much of playtime, and especially in COVID-19, parents are tormented, they're constantly worrying. They call us and say, how do we keep our children away from video games? So one of the simple solutions is, why don't you turn on Krishna Leela on the TVs? There is The Warrior, as there's so many nice movies on Lord Sri Krishna's pastimes. And of course, Srila Prabhupada's lectures are there. If they are teenagers and so forth, we can turn on and we can read together as family. Krishna book, which is filled with so many wonderful lessons and immerses in this transcendental bliss, and everyone feels satisfied to the core of their heart, core of everyone's heart. So that is the potency of Krishna Katha, that it fully satisfies our senses and keeps us aligned, and discusses how what is being seen in this material world is actually a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. And when we are doing these activities, we should make it joyful, we should make it fun, we should make it interesting, instead of monotonous. Come, read with me, da 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 da. Instead of doing that, we should realize that Lord, He is full of love, He is full of wonderful potencies, and so we want to invoke that love of Godhead. We want to reflect that love as in Sri Darmodarashtakam. And if nothing, then we can always call the children and say, when we are reading Darmodarashtakam or when we are singing Darmodarashtakam, why don't you light a lamp? Even that small act can be of great benefit for our children. And we should always pray, not just for us, but for our children, for our relatives, for everyone who's around us, because they are our association, and association matters. Again and again, the scriptures it has been identified that association defines who we are or what we become. So it is very important for us to pray for not just ourselves, but for everyone around us, so that we can all continue to progress in Krishna consciousness. So those are these are some of the glories of bhakti culture in this Krishna consciousness, is that instead of in competition with each other, we are in collaboration with each other. We are seeking everyone to come together, everyone to chant the holy name. And that is the way we express our love for Srila Prabhupada, for the wonderful gift that he has given in the form of his transcendental purpose in Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chitta Charitamrita, and so many other books which have been translated in over 80 languages, so that all around the world the blessing can be spread. So we are grateful for Srila Prabhupada and the Acharyas for providing us. And this verse today reflects that mood, that a devotee is always seeking to bless others, even fallen conditioned souls. So here, when Lord Krishna, being bound to the Urukula by Mother Yashoda, he is dragging that Urukula just as a childish way, he is dragging it. He is actually going in one direction. But as Acharyas reveal, then he changes his direction, remembering that Devashi Narad actually gave this boon, curse and a boon. So this is sometimes bewildering to people. How could somebody receive a curse as well as a boon? So sadhu sangha, sarva shastakaya, love mata sadhu sangha, sarva siddhi haya. Just a momentary association of a devotee, of a pure devotee, can bestow the topmost benediction to anyone who has had this association. So we should always be seeking sadhu sangha, devotee association. And that's why association is paramount. Here, the two sons of Kuvera, Nal Kuvara and Manigriva, they have been identified. And in the 10th chapter of 10th canto in Srimad Bhagavatam, Parikshit Maharaj asked that what was the cause that these two sons of Kuvera, they were cursed by Devashi Narad. And then in that chapter, in 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada writes and describes as how, in his purpose, he is explaining
how these two sons, who were actually coming from great birth, means they were sons of Kuvera, who was the treasurer of the demigods. So he is considered as one of the demigods. And these two sons, they had great birth, great opulences. They were very handsome, so they had great beauty, and they had great knowledge. And actually, they were the devotees of Lord Shiva and Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu. Among the Vaishnavas, the topmost Vaishnava is Lord Shambhu, Lord Shiva. So they were devotees of Lord Shiva, and so they entered into friendly relationship with Lord Shiva, that they would often visit Kailash Parvat, and they were allowed to roam around in the areas around Kailash Parvat. So near Kailash there is Mandakini river, Ganges flowing, and there are beautiful gardens where lotus flowers are blooming in the lakes, and there are fruits and very nice arrangement. So these two sons, it just so happened that once they were enjoying with other dancing girls, apsaras, and other ladies who were following them. So sometimes when someone is very rich, very opulent, very handsome, we see in this material world that women, they follow, they automatically become attracted. So they follow such men. And these two sons of Kuvera, who of course is very rich, they, because of being intoxicated by the pride, more than the Varuni, the liquor that they were drinking, that intoxication, they were more intoxicated by the pride of having received such a great birth, such an opulent position, to have such a company of celestial ladies, and being intoxicated by this pride, they were enjoying in the lakes. And it is described that these two sons of Kuver, they were enjoying like two male elephants, like male elephants enjoy with the female elephants, by sporting in the waters. And elephant is an animal that is attracted by the sense of touch, even though its skin is very rough. This is an interesting aspect. The irony is its skin is almost next to crocodile. This crocodile has very thick and rough skin, and animal skin is also very rough. Yet at the same time, Mayadevi is so powerful that she makes an elephant believe that the sense of touch is the greatest pleasure. And so elephants like to enjoy the sense of touch, and be, in this way, they were enjoying with these ladies, and they were, their clothes were falling apart, so they were naked. And by their good fortune, so in Srimad Bhagavatam it is explained that it is by their good fortune that Devashi Narad happened to pass by. So Devashi Narad, he is our celestial, transcendental spaceman. He travels anywhere, anytime, unhindered. So he happens to be, visiting Kailash Parvat. So he was in that area, and he saw these two sons along with the Apsaras. And what happened is that as soon as ladies, they saw Devashi Narad, who is in his young form, they immediately covered their bodies, fearing a curse. So again, it is very fearful, because when we are in the presence of someone who is elder, who is respectable in front, we need to have proper behavior. This is where we are learning. Yet at the same time, these two sons, they were so intoxicated, not just by the Varuni, but by the pride that's invoked because of their position. So we learn the lesson that we do not want to become proud because of the position, because of higher birth, because of higher authority, because of higher recognition, because of knowledge, because of looks, and all other aspects, means the various qualities. Because if these are used for sense gratification, they are just number of zeros, as Srila Prabhupada explains. All these qualities, the Parusham Nishu, Lord Kṛṣṇa explains, he describes in Bhagavad Gita that all the qualities in man and the ability in man. And so all these qualities are zero, and if we don't have Krishna, all the sum of zero is a zero. Yet at the same time, Srila Prabhupada explains that, however, if we use all these qualities in serving Krishna, then there is a one before all these zeros. And now all these zeros have value because Krishna as one is appearing before them. So that should be the mood. Now these two sons were intoxicated, so they did not cover their body, they stayed naked. And looking at them, Devashi Narad, he thought about their poor state. Now somebody could say, how could they be poor? They are the sons of Kuvera, and they are, have reached to a friendly relationship with Lord Shiva. They are his devotees, and now they happen to be very handsome and they happen to be very knowledgeable. How could they be poor? Poor is because the pride has taken away their intelligence, it has taken away their true qualities, and they are overcome by delusion of sense gratification, and they have fallen down from their position in this intoxicated state. So this is where Devashi Narad is considering. He's saying that a person who's poor, right? A person who's poor doesn't have any facilities, so automatically his senses have to undergo austerity and penances. So that happens naturally. We have a similar example that when you are staying in a dham, devotional service is spontaneous. There is nothing but devotional service you would be engaged in, because everyone, there is chanting of the holy name. And when you hear the chanting of the holy name, it enters to your heart. So you engage in chanting of the holy name. And there are some wonderful, wonderful incidents in current times that we hear. There is an incident where at a devotee's home, there was Harinam going all night, and next day they had to drop, they had to go to the airport to drop their son. So when they came back, so in their absence, here means in America, maid servants, they are allowed to have the keys so that they can enter the house and do the cleaning. And there was this Spanish lady, she was cleaning the house. When they returned, to their amazement, this lady was chanting Hare Kṛṣṇa Mahamantra. She was chanting Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So they were amazed to see this lady chanting Hare Kṛṣṇa Mahamantra. They said, where did you learn this Hare Kṛṣṇa Mahamantra? How do you know that? They were curious. And she said, I do not know. I was just working and suddenly, I felt like singing and these were the words that were coming out. So these are the glories of the chanting of the holy name. Even in a place where people are chanting the holy name, that place becomes concentrated with that spiritual potency that everyone that comes in contact in that particular area, in that particular place, in that room, that person gets automatically attracted and starts to chant the holy name. So in this way, once again, we should always be residing at a dham. Now Devashi Narad is thinking that these two sons of Kuvera, they are intoxicated, and he's meditating that a poor person automatically goes through austerity and penances because he doesn't have any facilities. And so his senses are automatically satisfied in whatever situation. So this is a very interesting aspect, that given our situations and circumstances, we adjust accordingly because we don't have any other option, right? A baby in the womb adjusts in a very uncomfortable position because that is the position it has been given, that is the situation it has been placed in. And when we come out in this material world, we adjust to whatever situations we are living in, whatever habitat we have received, whatever surroundings we have been accustomed to, we automatically adjust according to those situations. And the interesting aspect of this is some of the potency of material energies. Even though we, all living entities, not just in human body, but also in animal body, in plant body, in plant kingdom, trees, aquatics, birds, everywhere they are living entities, yet they have different kind of bodies, and they adjust based on the body that they have received. So Devashi Narad is meditating that a poor person would automatically adjust and their senses would be satisfied and they would be, continue to live in those conditions. However, looking at these two sons of Kuvera, Nal Kuvera and Manigriva, who happen to have all the auspicious situations but happen to have fallen down from their position because of pride. So I should bestow on them mercy so that they can, go back home, back to Godhead. So that is, this is where he curses them. And the curse is very specific to their situation. So here in Bhagavad Gita, we see that when one exposes the body, the physical body, make a show of their body, then they get the body of a tree. So appropriately, Devashi Narad curses these two sons to become trees. Now, as soon as the two sons of Kuvera hear about this, that they have been cursed by Devashi Narad, they realize their fallen condition. So they immediately covered themselves. Again, this is not in Srimad Bhagavatam, but in Padma Purana. It has been elaborately described, and other Puranas as well, where sometimes when a devotee falls from the position and gets cursed by another pure devotee, they immediately realize, because of the past pious activities, the past lives and the past actions, devotion service, by Lord's mercy, by Lord's causeless mercy, they awaken to their true consciousness, and they realize the mistake that they have caused or they have made. And they immediately approach Devashi Narad asking for forgiveness. At that time, Devashi Narad, being very merciful to them, said that they would become the twin Arjun trees in the courtyard of Nand Baba at Gokul. And for thousands of celestial years they will stay, where this courtyard would be built later on, and Nand Baba would be residing. And they would be delivered by none other than Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa himself. So this was the boon. So followed by the curse was a boon that was given to these two sons of Kuvera. And so they grew up in Gokula as twin Arjun trees right next to each other. And in due course of time, Nand Baba was residing there. In his courtyard were these two Arjun trees. And as Lord Kṛṣṇa was pulling Urukula, the grinding mortar, in one direction, he remembered this curse given by Devashi Narad, that he has to deliver these two sons of Kuvera. So Lord, he changes his directions to now crawl towards the two Arjun trees, the twin Arjun trees. And he passes from the middle of these two Arjun trees, and the grinding mortar had actually become, it had fallen horizontal, got stuck behind the two Arjun trees. Now Arjun trees, as high they grow above the ground, the roots go deeper than their height above the ground, into the ground. So it is very difficult to uproot a tree which has very deep roots. And that's why in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Kṛṣṇa is not recommending us to cut this banyan tree at the bank of the river, which is representing, actually its representation is the perverted one, to cut it with the weapon of detachment. And why is he saying in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita to cut it with the weapon of detachment? Because it is very difficult to uproot the tree, because we do not know where the beginning and the end of this material universe is, and so it is very difficult to uproot. It's easy to cut a tree than to uproot a tree. But Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa, as he is crawling and the Urukula, the grinding mortar, is stuck behind the tree, Lord Kṛṣṇa is tied with a rope to this Urukula. So he just gives a gentle, jerk to this tree. He just pulls it gently. And these two trees, they fall down, they get uprooted and they fall down on the ground, making a tumultuous sound. And from these trees appear two fiery personalities, and these are none other than Nalkuvara and Manigriva, the two sons of Kuvera, the twin sons. And they start to glorify Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa. And their glorification is also very important, because they are glorifying that, my dear Lord, it is by the mercy of Devashi Narad that we have had this opportunity to see you. And then they are asking for blessings, because when you are in the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, when you are in the presence of a devotee, you ask for blessings. And you should be ready to receive whatever blessings they are ready to give you. Right? So when these two sons, they have been delivered by Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa, the kind of blessings they are asking is not related to becoming more rich, because they were the sons of Kuvera, but they still fell down for that position. They were not asking for a higher birth, the son of a demigod, in such an opulent position. They were not asking for riches. Kuvera is the treasure of the demigods. He's very, very rich. And then they are not even asking for, knowledge, gyan, Shruti. They are not asking for, becoming handsome and having great positions and so forth. Why are they not asking? Because they already had all that, and they realize that it's of no use if you become proud. And Lord doesn't like, and similarly His devotees do not like anyone to become proud. And so what are they asking for? What is it that they are asking for as a boon? They are asking that, my dear Lord, please allow us to become a servant of your servants, and especially Devashi Narad. So this is the beauty in bhakti culture, in Krishna consciousness, that the devotees are praying to serve the one who may have even cursed them, because in reality even that curse of a pure devotee becomes a boon. That doesn't mean we should go out offending devotees. That is not the lesson. The lesson is that the mercy of the Lord flows through His devotees. When they realize their position, after being cursed by Devashi Narad, they ask for forgiveness. And being merciful to all the devotees, to all the living entities, devotees they bless. So devotees, the Vaishnavas, have these great qualities that they, bless, and they seek, benefit for complete humanity, for whole of humanity. That's why every morning, afternoon, and evening, we also pray. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. We are glorifying, we are praying to the Vaishnavas that they are like kalpataru, they are like the desire trees who can fulfill the desire of all living entities. And they're especially compassionate towards the fallen conditioned souls. Like Devashi Narad was especially compassionate towards the two sons of Kuvera, understanding their fallen condition. So here they are singing in response, having realized the true wealth, which is prema bhakti. So Lord Krishna bestowed on them His topmost treasure, the topmost treasure that we seek, prema bhakti. So sage Satavrata is identifying that Lord Krishna is so merciful that He bestowed prema bhakti to these two sons of Kuvera. So that is true deliverance, not just being delivered from the life of a tree and then being situated back in their original life as the sons of Kuvera. That was not the true benediction. That was not the true liberation. The true liberation is to liberate them from the clutches of Maya. Mukta Sangha Param Vrajet. So by delivering them from these effects of the three moods of material nature and giving them the true state. So it is very interesting that in this very life we can, by taking to process of devotional service, by taking to the different processes, by engaging in devotional service, we can be in Vaikuntha, we can be completely devoid of miseries, and that is the Brahma Bhuta stage. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na shochitra akangshati sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labhate param. At the Brahma Bhuta stage, one does not lament about the past, does not aspire for the future, and is equipoised towards all living entities. He is looking at everyone with equal vision and constantly engage in loving devotional service of Shri Radha Krishna. So he is constantly serving Shri Radha Damodar, constantly engage in pleasing the Lord as Lord desires. Now equal vision sometimes is being asked as how do you get equal vision? So that has been revealed in the 5th verse of the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini Shuni Chaiva Shvapake Cha Pandita Samadarshinaha. Samadarshi, a person with equal vision. And who is that Samadarshi? Is Pandit. Pandit is one who knows, what is what. So again, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne. By acquiring the right knowledge, Vidya. So Sampanna is by acquiring it. Brahmani Gavyastini, a person sees with equal vision a Brahman, a Gavi, a cow, Hastini, an elephant, Shuni Chaiva Shvapakecha, a dog and a dog eater. Sees everyone with equal vision, understanding that everyone is a living entity riding in the body right, in this material body and the subtle bodies. We are all riding. Yet at the same time, there is Paramatma in everyone's heart, and everyone is very dear to Paramatma. Paramatma is an expansion of Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa. So that is equal vision. So we treat them. But Mad Bhakti Labhate Param. How can we teach them? So this is an effect. What is the cause? The cause is by engaging in loving devotional service of Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa. So when we engage in loving devotional service of Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa, we get the mercy of the Lord. Yet at the same time, the mercy flows to the devotee of Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa. Sage Satavrata is praying for that prema bhakti that Lord is bestowing onto these two sons of Kuvera, the twins. And he is saying that, my dear Lord, please bestow your prema bhakti on me as well. Please bless me with that. So this narration appears in Padma Puran, where Sage Satyavrata is singing the Srimad Darmodarashtakam in the company of Devashi Narada and Shaunaka Rishi. So in Padma Puran this is occurring. And of course, Devashi Narada, when he hears Sage Satyavrata glorifying that the two sons of Kuvera were delivered, of course he is also remembering this sweet pastime and feeling that mercy of the Lord is constantly flowing. All we have to do is, we have to just engage in devotional service so that we can be an instrument. Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, Nimitta matram bhavya savisachin. You can just be an instrument. He is telling Arjuna that I have already killed all these warriors gathered on this battlefield at Kurukshetra. But you can only be an instrument in this mission. So the Karta is Lord Krishna. So when we are engaged in any activities and we get any success or failure, we should be completely unaffected if we get success or failure. Because our mood is to serve Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa. Our mood is to serve our spiritual master. Our mood should be to serve Srila Prabhupada. We should always be following in the footsteps of Vaishnava Acharyas. So that is the true aspect, the true meaning of life, so that the mercy will flow through them, so that we can get that prema bhakti, we can achieve the goal of life. That is the goal of life, to attain the love of Godhead, to be engaged in devotional service with love, with devotion, and showing our gratitude to the Acharyas, to Srila Prabhupada, and to all the Vaishnavas, and seeking to benefit everyone, understanding that everyone is very dear to Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa, and not committing any offense even for general populace, Janaprad. Forget about Vaishnava Prad, which is a great offense which can destroy Bhakti Lata Bija garden, where this creeper of devotion is growing. Rather, we should constantly be engaged in glorifying. So Sage Satyavrata, he is glorifying that Lord, just like you delivered the twin urgent trees and bestowed on them the prema bhakti, your love of Godhead, similarly please bestow that mercy upon me, and I long for this and have no desire for any other kind of liberation. And the last verse, where in the 8th verse, Sage Satyavrata is further paying obeisances. Namaste stu damne spurdipti damne tadiyo darayat vishvasya damne namo radhikaye tvadiya priyaye namo anantalilaya devaya tubhyam. So here he is praying that, oh my dear Lord, Lord Damodar, I first of all offer obeisance to the brilliantly effulgent robe that is binding your belly. And your belly, I pay obeisances next to your belly, which is the abode of all the universes, all the spiritual and material universes. And I humbly bow down to your most beloved Srimati Radharani, Kartika Sundari. So again, she is the presiding deity of this month, Damodar month. Kartika is another name for Radharani. And I offer all obeisances to you. So first he is bowed down till Srimati Radharani, and then he is saying, I pay obeisances to you who displays unlimited pastimes. That's why Lord also has the name Ananta, because He is unlimited, His pastimes are unlimited, His forms are unlimited, His names are unlimited, and all this unlimited can be, pleased when we raise our limited two hands and chant out Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada, he went around the globe 12 times, spreading Krishna consciousness, the glories of the name, form, activities, pastimes of Shri Shri Radha Damodar. And so we can express our love for Srila Prabhupada, we can express our gratitude for Srila Prabhupada, we can express, our obeisances, we can, pay our obeisances to Him when we also glorify the Lord, when we glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we realize that we have to similarly, as He, when staying at Shri Radha Damodar temple in Vrindavan, he was looking at, from his room, he was looking at Shri Rupa Goswami's Samadhi, his kuti, bhajan kuti, and he was constantly praying for mercy. And so he was empowered. Similarly, we all should be, praying to Srila Prabhupada and to the Vaishnava Acharyas for their mercy, to be empowered so that we can chant with love, we can engage in devotional service with love, and we can together collaborate and rise from our current status to that status where we want to be engaged in constant service of Lord Shri Krishna, and pray that His beautiful form of Bal Gopal in Vrindavan, with his cheeks being kissed again and again by Mother Yashoda, with his beautiful lotus eyes filled with tears, yet at the same time his tinged locks of hair on his face, looking so beautiful in that form, with his shark-shaped earrings, and kissing his cheeks as he is moving his head. In this beautiful Bal Gopal form be ever manifest in our hearts. That is the prayer in Shri Darmodarashtakam. And so now we will be singing Darmodarashtakam, followed by the translation. Hare Krishna. Shri Darmodarashtakam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki janant, Gauri Vaishnava Vrind ki jai. Please join us for Shri Darmodarashtakam prayers. And if you are ready, please have your lamps ready so you can offer the lamps to the Lordship. Hare Krishna.
Darmodarashtakam. Translation in English, verse 1. Please read.
To the Supreme Lord, whose form is the embodiment of eternal existence, knowledge, and bliss, whose shark-shaped earrings are swinging to and fro, who is beautifully shining in the divine realm of Gokul, who, due to the offense of breaking the pot of the yogurt that his mother was churning into butter, and then stealing the butter that was kept hanging from a swing, is quickly running from the wooden grinding mortar in fear of Mother Yashoda, but who has been caught from behind by her who ran after him with greater speed. To that Supreme Lord, Sri Damodar, I offer my humble obeisances.
Verse 2. Seeing the whipping stick in his mother's hand, he is crying and rubbing his eyes again and again with his two lotus hands. His eyes are filled with fear, and the necklace of pearls around his neck, which is marked with 3 lines like a conch shell, is shaking because of his quick breathing due to crying. To this Supreme Lord, Sri Damodar, whose belly is bound not with ropes but with his mother's pure love, I offer my humble obeisances.
Verse 3. By such childhood pastimes as this, he is drowning the inhabitants of Gokul in pools of ecstasy, and is revealing to those devotees who are absorbed in knowledge of his supreme majesty and opulence that he is only conquered by devotees whose pure love is imbued with intimacy and is free from all conceptions of awe and reverence. With great love, I again offer my obeisances to Lord Damodar hundreds and hundreds of times.
Verse 4. O Lord, although you are able to give all kinds of benedictions, I do not pray to you for the boon of impersonal liberation, nor the highest liberation of eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor any other boon which may be obtained by executing the 9 processes of bhakti. O Lord, I simply wish that this form of yours as Bal Gopal in Vrindavan may ever be manifest in my heart. For what is the use to me of any other boon besides this?
Verse 5 of Sri Darmodarashtakam. Translation. O Lord, your lotus face, which is encircled by locks of soft black hair tinged with red, is kissed again and again by Mother Yashoda, and your lips are reddish like the bimba fruit. May this beautiful vision of your lotus face be ever manifest in my heart. Thousands and thousands of other benedictions are of no use to me.
Verse 6 of Sri Darmodarashtakam. O Supreme Lord, I offer my obeisances unto you. O Damodar, O Ananta, O Vishnu, O Master, O my Lord, be pleased upon me. By showering your glance of mercy upon me, deliver this poor ignorant fool who is immersed in an ocean of worldly sorrows and become visible to my eyes.
Verse 7. O Lord Damodar, just as the 2 sons of Kuver, Manigriv and Nalkuver, were delivered from the curse of Narad and made into devotees by you, in your form as a baby tied with a rope to a wooden grinding mortar, in the same way, please give to me your own Prem Bhakti. I only long for this and have no desire for any kind of liberation.
Verse 8 together.
O Lord Damodar, I first of all offer my obeisances to the brilliantly effulgent robe which binds your belly. I then offer my obeisances to your belly, which is the abode of the entire universe. I humbly bow down to your most beloved Srimati Radharani, and I offer all obeisances to you, the Supreme Lord, who displays unlimited pastimes.
Shri Radha Damodar ki jai, Shri Darmodarashtakam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So one important aspect that we learned today was with respect to the various kind of opulences that we may receive. In this regard, Queen Kunti, she actually when praying to Lord Krishna when he's departing back for Dwarka, after Rasriya and sacrifices have successfully been performed, and Bhishma Dev, he has left for he has been liberated. she is also praying, and one of her prayers directly related to what we covered in the 7th verse today is she is praying Janmeshwarya Shutashi Bhiridmana Madah Puman Nevarhyatya Vidhatum Vae Tvam Kinchana Gocharam. She is saying that person who's proud because of their Janma, higher birth, Aishwarya, opulence, fortune, Shuta, higher knowledge, being very knowledgeable, Shibhir, being very beautiful. Edmana Madha Puman. Madha is like, being intoxicated. So it is the pride that intoxicates such person. They can never approach you, who is so easily approached by one who is devoid of all these qualities. So this is again another place where Devachinala, when he is meditating on the fallen condition of the sons of Kuvera, this was directly applied to that scenario where he is saying a poor person can automatically become satisfied because austerity and penances are automatically performed in that state. He doesn't have any of these qualities. Yet at the same time, when we get great qualities, they come with great responsibilities, right? And if we don't, understand the responsibilities, it will cause us to fall down from our position. So this human birth is also a very rare opportunity we have all received. And the purpose of human life is to develop that love of Godhead, attain the prema bhakti, the love of Godhead, and go back home, back to Godhead, which will give most pleasure, because then we will always be engaging serving Lord Shri Krishna. So expressing our gratitude, we should constantly chant and engage everyone around us in the chanting of the holy name.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki Janand Kori Vaishnav Vind ki Janitai Go Premanande. Hare Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna.